Imagine for a moment that you wake up, grab your phone, and see a message from your mother or your spouse back home. And they are panic-stricken because they have just heard that citizens from your country are being completely blocked from entering the United States. Your heart drops into your stomach. Your hands start shaking. And suddenly, all those years of saving money, filing paperwork, and dreaming of a reunion in America feel like they have been destroyed in a single second. This is the exact paralyzing fear that has gripped thousands of families this week as rumors of a massive new restriction circulate, suggesting that by 2026, the door will be slammed shut for nearly half the world. But before you let that fear consume you, before you cancel your plans or give up on your case, you need to stop and listen to the truth. Because the headline everyone is sharing 75-country visa ban, not exactly. Here is what is really happening is a mixture of terrifying fiction and a very specific quiet reality that you actually need to understand to survive the current immigration system. If you find this video helpful, please hit the subscribe button, turn on notifications, and give it a like so you never miss important updates delivered straight to your smartphone. Now, let us get into the video. Hello and welcome to US Immigration Info. And if you are watching this video right now, first let me address the elephant in the room and answer the question that is keeping you up at night. Is there an official order signed by the President or the Department of Homeland Security in the last 7 days that enacts a blanket 75-country visa ban? Not exactly. Here is what is really happening. The short, honest, and reassuring answer is no. I have reviewed the Federal Register, I have checked the Department of State's latest cables, and I have analyzed every press release from USCIS over the last week. There is no such thing as a new 75-country visa ban currently in effect or signed into law for 2026. However, and this is a massive however, the reason this title is not exactly is that while the ban is fake, the restriction on processing for many countries is very real. And the confusion comes from a mix of severe visa backlogs, changes to reciprocity schedules, and political proposals for the future that are being misinterpreted as current law. When people ask for 2026 info, they are often reacting to long-term political strategy documents, such as Project 2025 or other think tank proposals that suggest drastically reducing visa issuances from countries with high overstay rates. But you must understand that these are currently just proposals, not law. So why is everyone talking about this 75-country visa ban? Not exactly. Here is what is really happening. Here is the reality of the situation. The United States currently has severe administrative processing delays and high refusal rates for B1, B2 visitor visas and F1 student visas for citizens of many countries in the global south, including parts of Africa, South Asia, and the Middle East. When you combine the countries that have visa interview wait times exceeding 300 or 400 days with the countries that have recently faced stricter scrutiny under the administrative processing or 221G refusals, it feels like a ban. But legally, a ban is a very specific thing like the travel restrictions we saw years ago. What we are seeing now is a soft restriction caused by extreme vetting and resource allocation issues. If you are from one of these countries, you are not banned, but you are facing a wall of bureaucracy that requires you to be smarter, faster, and more prepared than ever before. This is why it is critical that you subscribe to US Immigration Info right now. Hit that like button and share this video, because while others spread panic, we spread strategy. Let us look at the specific 2026 context that many of you are asking about. You want to know if the door is closing by 2026. The year 2026 is significant because it represents the midterm of the next presidential administration term, and immigration policies operate on long cycles. While there is no 75-country ban set for 2026, there are policies currently being cemented that will make immigration much harder by that time if you do not act now. For example, we are seeing a trend toward increasing fees, enforcing the public charge rule more strictly, and tightening asylum criteria at the border. These are the real threats. The rumor of a 75-country visa ban distracts you from the fact that USCIS is quietly increasing the evidence burden for H-1B visas, for marriage-based green cards, and for asylum claims. If you are waiting until 2026 to apply because you think you have time, or if you are panicking and not applying because you think you are already banned, you are falling into the trap. The 75-country visa ban. Not exactly. Here is what is really happening. Headline is a wake-up call to look at your specific situation. Are you in a visa category that is retrogressed? Are you from a country with a high fraud profile, according to the Department of State? That is what matters, not a viral number like 75. Let me give you a concrete example of how this confusion hurts real people. Imagine a family from Nigeria, or India, or Colombia. They hear about this ban. They assume their B2 visitor visa renewal will be automatically denied, so they do not apply. Meanwhile, the embassy was actually open and accepting applications, perhaps with a long wait time, but still processing. By failing to apply, they created their own ban. Or consider an international student who thinks the ban applies to F1 visas for 2026. They stopped their application process only to find out 6 months later that the rumor was false. But now, they have missed the university enrollment deadline. Do not let this happen to you. The topic of 75-country visa ban, not exactly, here is what is really happening, is about understanding that U.S. immigration is selective, not closed. Now let us discuss what has actually happened in the last 7 days that relates to this fear. While there is no 75-country ban, the Department of Homeland Security has continued to conduct removal flights and strictly enforce the asylum ban rule at the southern border. If you enter the U.S. illegally without using the CBP-1 app or lawful pathways, you are presumed ineligible for asylum. This rule applies to nationals of all countries, which might be where the global ban confusion comes from. It is not a ban on specific nationalities. It is a ban on a specific method of entry. Furthermore, there have been updates regarding the Visa Waiver Program, VWP. The U.S. constantly reviews the VWP list. If you are a dual citizen of a VWP country and a country labeled as a state sponsor of terrorism, you are restricted from using ESTA and must apply for a visa. This is old news that gets recycled as new bans every few months. If you see a video screaming about a 2026 ban, verify the source. Is it a USCIS press release? Is it a Federal Register publication? If not, come back to U.S. Immigration Info, where we verify everything. You need to understand the concept of reciprocity. The U.S. Department of State adjusts visa validity periods and fees based on how other countries treat U.S. citizens. Sometimes a country's visa duration for its citizens is reduced from 5 years to 1 year. This is not a ban. This is a diplomatic adjustment. But if you do not know the difference, it feels like the 75-country visa ban. Not exactly. Here is what is really happening scenario. For those of you asking about the 2026 info, here is my honest assessment as a strategist. The trend line for U.S. immigration through 2026 suggests a move toward merit-based scrutiny and higher efficiency through digitization, but also much stricter enforcement of minor violations. The days of easy approvals are gone. If you have a criminal record, a previous overstay, or inconsistencies in your application, the system in 2026 will catch it faster than the system in 2024 because of better data sharing between agencies. That is the real ban, the ban on incomplete or fraudulent applications. I want to speak directly to those of you holding work permits or pending green card applications. You might be worried that this rumor affects your adjustment of status. It does not. If you are already in the U.S. and applying for adjustment of status form I-485, these external visa ban rumors generally do not apply to you unless you have triggered a ground of inadmissibility. Your focus should be on maintaining your underlying status and responding to any requests for evidence RFEs immediately. Do not let the panic over the 75-country visa ban, not exactly, here is what is really happening, stop you from filing your renewals. One common mistake I see is people hearing these rumors and thinking, oh, they are banning people from my country, so why bother renewing my EAD? That is fatal. If you let your work permit expire because of a rumor, you lose your job, you lose your driver's license, and you put your family at risk. Ignore the noise. File the paperwork. Furthermore, we need to talk about the visa bulletin because that is the closest thing to a ban that actually exists legally. For many countries, the priority dates are not moving. If you are from India or China in the employment-based categories, or from Mexico or the Philippines in family-based categories, the wait times are essentially a temporary ban on receiving your green card because the numbers are not there. This is a statutory limit, not a new executive order for 2026. However, looking ahead, there is no legislation currently moving through Congress that would solve this by 2026. This means the status quo of long waits will likely continue. The solution is not to panic about a fake 75-country ban, but to explore alternative visa options. Can you qualify for an O1 visa? Can you qualify for an EB2 national interest waiver? These are the questions you should be asking. I also want to touch on the travel ban legacy. Many of you remember the travel bans from previous years. It is understandable that you are traumatized and hyper-aware of any news that sounds similar. The 75-country visa ban. Not exactly. Here is what is really happening narrative preys on that trauma. But as your reporter, I can confirm there is no Muslim ban 2.0 or Global South ban active today. The Department of State is actually trying to reduce interview wait times in many of these countries, though progress is slow. They have introduced interview waivers for certain renewals to speed things up. Does that sound like a ban to you? No. It sounds like a system trying to recover, but it is a system that is strict. If you lie to a visa officer, you are banned. If you present fake documents, you are banned. That is a permanent ineligibility, and that is a rule that will definitely still be here in 2026. Let us talk about what you need to do right now. First, check your passport expiration date. Second, check your I-94 admission record. Third, if you are planning travel in late 2025 or 2026, start your visa application now. Do not wait. If the wait time is 400 days and you apply today, you are in the queue. If you wait to see if the ban is real, you add months to your wait. Fourth, if you are a green card holder, ensure you do not stay outside the US for more than 6 months, or definitely not more than a year without a re-entry permit. Abandonment of residence is a real risk that acts like a ban on your return. This is the practical advice that actually matters. We are building a community here at US Immigration Info of informed, empowered immigrants. I want you to comment below. What country are you applying from? Have you experienced a delay that feels like a ban? Share your story so we can see the real data, not the rumors. And please, if you have a friend who is terrified about this 75-country visa ban, not exactly, here is what is really happening headline, send them this video. Tell them it is not exactly a ban, but a call to be diligent. To summarize for everyone just joining or needing a recap, there is no new 75-country visa ban from the US government this week. The rumors likely stem from misunderstandings of VWP rules, asylum restrictions, or future political proposals for 2026 that have not happened yet. However, strict vetting is in full force. Administrative processing is common. Delays are real. The danger is not a list of 75 banned countries. The danger is complacency and misinformation. Your strategy must be accuracy and timeliness. Rely on official USCIS updates, rely on the Department of State's website, and rely on US Immigration Info to interpret that data for you without the fear-mongering. We will keep monitoring the situation every single day. If a real ban is ever announced, or if a policy change regarding 2026 becomes official law, you will hear it here first, and we will tell you exactly how to handle it. Until then, stay calm, stay legal, and keep your paperwork in order. Your American dream is still possible, but it requires truth, not rumors. That is all we have for this bulletin. U.S. Immigration Info Channel provides all necessary visa information and procedures for your U.S. immigration journey. It is important to understand the United States immigration processing steps, visa application requirements, processing times, forms, fees, and more. We will continue to provide all information about U.S. visitor visas such as B1 and B2, work visas such as L1A, L1B, and H1B, student visas, green cards, immigrant visas, EB1, EB2, EB3, EB4, and EB5, and family immigrant visas. If you have not already, please subscribe to U.S. Immigration Info Channel. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Stay safe.